Our group traveled to Buckhead, Atlanta in search of the Piney Grove Cemetery, a historically African-American place of resting.
Comprised of numerous prestigious neighborhoods, much of Buckhead continues today as it always has, as a quiet crossroads lined by the country estates of the wealthiest families in the area.
With this promotional video and the citywide perception of Buckhead in mind, our group had an idea of what to expect when visiting the Piney Grove Cemetery. We expected something similar to this, a well-maintained sanctuary and reminder of those that have passed away. However, as we trekked towards the GPS location of the cemetery, we began to realize how wrong we had been. Without representation or proper signage to indicate that we had reached the Piney Grove Cemetery and simply the location's GPS coordinates to guide our path, we stumbled upon dozens of tombstones covered in leaves and weeds, strewn about the forest floor descending from one of the most revered neighborhoods in Buckhead. This is where we formulated our final theses. The Piney Grove Cemetery serves as a testament to African American culture and community in the Buckhead area. The current condition of the cemetery serves as a representation of the struggle that African Americans face when attempting to protect themselves and their culture, particularly in affluent regions of America. Although merely 100 feet from some of the most beautiful and well-maintained structures in Atlanta, the tombstones at Piney Grove are mostly illegible. To comprehend the importance of the condition of these tombstones and of this cemetery, we must first understand what the Piney Grove community once was. Established atop a nearby hill anywhere from the mid-1800s to the early 1900s, Piney Grove served as a home as well as a place of worship and teaching for the newly freed community of ex-slaves in North Atlanta. Piney Grove is one of the oldest known communities for ex-slaves in Atlanta and one of the first known free settlements in the South. In the shadow of high-rise condos and beautiful homes, the cemetery at Piney Grove is home to nearly 300 African Americans who once called the community home. The cemetery is the last living vestige of the community, and as we can see, it is merely hanging on by a thread. A road runs directly through the center of the cemetery, no doubt paving over some of the ex-residents of Piney Grove. This road shows what little reverence the new members of the community surrounding the cemetery give it. The cemetery at Piney Grove is not just neglected, it is actively being disregarded in an effort to create more of the same in Buckhead, more affluent neighborhoods and rich condos. The sorry state of the Piney Grove Cemetery represents the racial tensions in Buckhead and across much of affluent America. African Americans continuously see their progress washed away by whites that, whether intentionally or not, disregard things of historical importance to other cultures and races. To contextualize this issue, we must first look into Buckhead's past. In 1952, as part of the largest annexation in Atlanta's history, Buckhead was incorporated into the city with the unspoken agreement that the area was off-limits to African Americans. This already racially charged region exploded in 2000 following the Ray Lewis murders in the eastern part of the community dubbed the Village. Overnight, the topic of violence brought into Buckhead by a hip-hop influence had become a leading story. Obviously, this rhetoric leads readers to an anti-African American sentiment, as hip-hop influence that is described is innately tied to African American culture. In the early 2000s, discussions on the dangerous spike in crime rate in Buckhead ranged from the harmless to downright racist, such as the Atlanta Journal-Constitution directly blaming African Americans for violent crimes in Buckhead in 2003. The neglect of the Piney Grove Cemetery is simply a symptom of widespread and deep-rooted race-based problems that are all too common in affluent communities across the nation, but specifically in Buckhead. It is a representation of the rich culture and history that is allowed to slip through the cracks when that culture or history belongs to a completely different or underrepresented group of people. The current discussions about Piney Grove range from its historical significance to the developmental benefit that Buckhead would get by tearing it down, even to its value as a green space in the Atlanta area. However, we believe that the cemetery at Piney Grove tells a different story entirely. Piney Grove tells that story of African Americans fighting to survive and thrive in white America. This site represents an argument addressed in Climbing Jacob's Ladder by Andrew Billingsley. The fact that no matter what progress African Americans make, eventually it's going to be washed away. African Americans founded a community here, a community that is barely recognizable today. The leaps forward taken by African Americans in the past are taken advantage of and destroyed because they do not fit in with the history that the people of Buckhead like, the history that those people identify with. Piney Grove's importance is as a testament to African American history. It is important to show that the people of Atlanta care about all of our history. Currently, the culture present in Buckhead, Atlanta, has led to the destruction of this African American heritage site. For this to change, Piney Grove must become a better maintained staple of the Buckhead community. Unfortunately, that would require a cultural shift and a decrease in the racial tensions that have been present in Buckhead, Atlanta since its inception.